Guys, this is your November forecast for all the rising and moon signs. So November is going to be very important month because on the 7th we have the solar eclipse that will happen in the sign of Sidereal Aries, and this will in a way close off a chapter that began back in the spring with the eclipses. Also on the 11th, Venus will enter Scorpio. On the 13th, Mars retrograde officially enters Taurus. On the 13th, also Mercury enters Scorpio. And on the 16th, Sun enters Scorpio. Jupiter goes direct in Pisces on the 24th. So the biggest the signs that are going to have the most action this month are going to be Taurus, Scorpio, Pisces, and somewhat Virgo as well. Oh, and Aries, Libra. Those are the signs that are getting the most action this month. So let's get started. And we'll begin with Aries rising and moon. So on November 7th, you will have a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse happening in your very first house. So since the springtime, you have been working on yourself during the eclipse that happened on the 25th of October. There could have been some kind of pulling energy towards your relationship. Some of you could have something could have happened to your partners, or you could have ended a relationship, gotten into a relationship, gotten more serious within your relationships, or just a stronger focus within your relationships in general. Now, during this full moon, it's almost as a culmination to the last 6 months where you have been working on yourself. Now you're going to receive that clarity that you need in order to move forward in what you need to do to continue these changes that you have been working on since the springtime. So this focus will be on you, on your sense of self. You could feel a little bit uneasy mentally, almost as if you're having to go through some kind of death and rebirth of your sense of self in order to come out of it feeling like a new person, feeling more confident, feeling more self-assured, and like you know yourself better. But this can come with a lot of mental anxieties, or a lot of feeling like others don't understand you, or feeling like you're changing so rapidly, you're changing so fast that you can't even catch up with yourself. Some kind of mental unrest or mental uneasiness can be seen at this time. Be careful with like accidents to yourself. Try to lay low on the day of the eclipse on November 7th, 2 days before, 2 days after, because the next 6 months is going to be sort of like a culmination, like making sense of everything that you had to go through until now, and all the focus that you have done on yourself and how that's going to pay off for you. Then Mars will go on the 13th. Mars will enter back into your second house. It's currently in your third retrograde. So something around your driving, I would say be careful driving, or something around your communication with others can be a little bit too assertive, or a little bit brutal, that you can hurt other people's feelings. But after the 13th, Mars will go into your second house, and a lot of your focus will go into your family. I did a whole other video on Mars, so take a listen to that one, and that's going to give you a better idea of what's going on with your Mars in your second house. Then Jupiter goes direct for you on the 20, when is it? Jupiter direct on the 24th, and Jupiter has been transiting your 12th house, where possibly you've been thinking about travel, or you've been thinking about you could also be thinking about your health, or you've had a lot of, even though you've been going through a difficult transit, this Jupiter in the 12th house has brought you luck in some way, even though you can't even see it. Even though you can't see it, Jupiter in the 12th house brings you luck in every area of your life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Especially in your home life, maybe even thinking about moving, that could be a possibility for you all the way until springtime. The beginning of the month, you will continue to have Venus, Sun, and Mercury in your 7th house. So your partner is asking of you, or is could be wanting more your attention more at this time, can need you more at this time, or you've just been feeling like you're single, like you really want to get into a partnership. This could be a time when you do get into a partnership. After the 13th, Venus will enter your 8th house. Mercury then will enter your 8th house on that day. And then lastly, Mercury and Venus enter your 8th house on on the 11th. Then on the 11th, Venus enters your 8th house. On the 13th, Mercury enters your 8th house. And then on the 16th, around there, Sun will also join your 8th house. When all of these planets enter your 8th house, it's almost as if there's like an activation of a transformation within you, because the opposite of that is Mars in your 2nd house. So possibly you decide that you want to start a family. So some of you, if you're pregnant, this could be the time when you actually like have the child, because so much transformation is going on in your 8th house of like surgeries, or maybe if you were planning to have a surgery or any of those transformative physical things that could happen once Venus and all those planets enter your 8th house. I would just say be careful with accidents, be careful with your family, how you speak to your family. You can maybe even transform your sense of security, invest or do things that are going to even think about a new way of making money at this time, some kind of transformation, and also like wanting to be more seductive, that you're going to have this feeling of wanting to be more seductive, more charming in a way. Your sex appeal will also be more pronounced this month after the 2nd half. Saturn will remain in your 10th house until January of 2023, so not much changes happening there in your 10th house. Just working hard in your career, because you're changing something around your career and your sense of self. So you're going to continue working hard in that area, and then you're going to get the results. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Taurus. Taurus rising and moons, the beginning of the month. You're going to have the eclipse on the 9th in your 6th house of health, looking at your 12th house. So, I mean, sorry, the eclipse on November 9th is happening in your 12th house. So there could be some kind of you wanting to isolate, you wanting to focus on your own self, isolated from the world around you. Just focus on your internal self. And this could be something that began for you back in the springtime, and you've been isolating a lot. You've been just focusing on your inner self. There could be some expenses that start to rise now. But this focus that you isolating yourself, even though it can feel as if you're alone, or it can feel as if you are in a world where you have no backup or you have no one that's there for you. This can also be a very spiritual time where you find your sense of strength and your sense of divinity in places that you didn't think you would find it. So since the spring, you've been isolating, but now it's like almost a culmination of this energy where now you're getting like all those aha moments that you needed from since December of last year, like these aha moments within yourself to learn to heal yourself, to tap into your creative side, to tap into, maybe you're isolating because you're learning something, or you're isolating because you're healing yourself. But this isolation ultimately will prove beneficial for you, because you will have those realizations and those healing moments that you truly needed, or finding a new way to approach the world around you during your isolation. So this but at the same time, you need to be careful with like expenses, because expenses could be rising for you in some way or another. Like things are just like adding up with that Rahu in the 12th house. You can also, your dreams can be very vivid. Your dreams can be very, or you can have like disrupted sleep at this time too. You can be having a hard time sleeping, or your dreams can just be very profound. The eclipse that happened on the 25th in your 6th house really made you aware of could have made you aware of how short and how limited we are in this lifetime. 6th house is the house of work, the house of health. So a lot of your focus has been on work, on health, on finding a balance between your everyday life, your ego, and the things that you love. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough energy, or maybe you feel like your health is not as strong as you want it to be, or that you're not as balanced as you want to be. This is also the eclipses, even though they've been in your 6th house, they're ruling your 1st house. So it's almost as if they were in your 1st house. So you could be also having a sense of feeling detached from like yourself, like a detachment from your sense of self, not feeling capable enough or not feeling as if you are strong enough to take on the challenges of life. So with Sun there debilitated in your 6th house, your health can also have played a role in this, or your work, where you don't feel or even like just like your own sense of confidence could have also been impacted. This is something that you're working through in the next 6 months, where you're learning how to balance your health, balance your day-to-day life, balance your routine in order to find comfort and to find a new spiritual way of viewing your everyday life in some way. But it's not an easy transit when it comes to your sense of self and when it comes to your health. So just watch your health, watch what you eat, watch your routine and your sleep and expenses. Now, Mars is currently in your 2nd house, retrograde. Is going to enter your 1st house on the 13th. Yeah. And I've made a separate video on Mars in your 1st house. But this month, especially the 2nd half after the 13th, it's going to give a big emphasis and a big focus on how you relate yourself or how you take action in the world as it pertains to others, as it pertains to particularly your relationships. For those of you who are single, this could be a good time to put yourself out there, to meet someone. For those of you who are in a relationship, this could be a time when you get closer to your partners, or just like focus a lot of your focus and a lot of your energy can be going towards your relationships. Just use it wisely, especially once Venus enters your 7th house. You're going to feel more inclined to like want to spend time in your partnerships, maybe spend time with other people, maybe feel as if you really want to be in a relationship at this time. Your partner can also be more romantic, or just feel more relationship oriented in a way. Mars in your 1st house is giving you a lot of action as it pertains to your own capabilities and your own ability to take action in the world around you. Although retrograde, it could be an intensity of that, or it could be a lack of that. You can go either way. So watch the Mars retrograde video in your 1st house. It's going to be there all the way until January of 2023. Now, another important transit is that on the 24th, on November 24th, Jupiter is going to go direct in your 11th house. This is beautiful because the 11th house is looking right at the 5th house of romance and partnerships. So especially after the 24th, you're going to feel like you're wanting to spend more time like with friends, or you're wanting to put yourself out there, like go on dates. Maybe you're going to want to meet someone, or you can meet someone, because once Jupiter goes direct, it's going to bring into you the manifestations, and it's placed in your 11th house of gains, of hopes, of wishes, of manifestations. So for the Taurus rising moons, they can see this month all the way until the springtime, they can see a lot of their manifestations come to fruition, with this month being, especially towards the end of the month, being like a pushing force towards that. So it's a good time. So once you're isolating, maybe like set your intentions of manifestations, because things are going to begin moving a lot quicker. If you work in a field of like creativity, your creativity is also going to feel as if you're finally feeling creative again, or as if you're finally seeing the results of your hard work, or as if you are your manifestations are coming to you so quickly. So whether you use it for better or for worse, this is a really good time. Jupiter retrograde was also bringing you manifestations, but it was almost as if you were feeling stuck and they were taking so long. Now, since it's direct, things are coming to you a lot quicker. Now, Saturn is going to remain in your 9th house. So maybe the relationship with your father could be something that is very important for you right now, or your higher learning. That's going to watch the previous month's Saturn prediction, because it's already been direct almost all month, and I've already gone over that, but it's going to remain in your 9th house of hopes and wishes. In order to for Saturn to become activated, make sure that you are giving back, or that you have a strong relationship with some sort of like guru, mentor, father figure, to increase your luck factor. Neptune is currently the lowest degrees in your 10th house. Maybe something about your career is not letting you to It's not allowing you to see it clearly. It's not going to remain like that all month. It's only for a few days, but Neptune is going to remain in your 10th house all month. And then I think next month it moves into your 11th house. But I've already talked about Neptune in your 10th house, just something that you can't see clearly as it pertains to your career. It's going to remain there. That's barely felt, but it's mainly impacting your hopes and wishes. Or your luck, I'm sorry, not your hopes and wishes, is mainly impacting your luck factor. Not that it's not bringing you your luck factor, but it's just that you feel like you don't see it. And yeah, now we're off to the next sign, which is Gemini. So for Gemini, rising and moons, Gemini, you're going to have Mars retrograde in your very first house until the 13th of November, I believe. Yes, it's the 13th. But I already did a video on Mars, so please go look at that video to know how it's going to impact you. But basically, you are either taking too much action in the world around you right now or feeling a bit like apprehensive to take action and around you. Just take a look at that. Once after the 13th, it'll enter your 12th house where you're going to feel like becoming isolated. Some of your expenses can go up. Especially maybe you're isolating because maybe you meet someone, or maybe you're in a relationship and you're wanting to isolate because of this relationship. Either which way, you're isolating. And on the eclipse on the 27th, there was something around your relationships that could have come to light, whether you had some kind of realizations around that, or if even if you had to go through a breakup around the eclipses. But there was something around partnerships that you came to the realization that will unfold in the next 6 months. So this energy is very strong in your 5th house with Sun, Mercury, and Venus there, along with the South Node up until middle of November. Then on the 9th, you're going to have a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse in your 11th house. And this is a time when since the springtime, when the eclipses happen, it opened this portal of you shifting your friendships. Maybe you've let go of some friends. Maybe you've let go of how you relate to your friendships, of your partnership, of boundaries around friendships. Maybe you've old friends could have come into your life, or you could have let go of old friends. This eclipse is going to culminate everything that happened in the last 6 months, and making you see that it was all for a bigger purpose, because the friends that you have made now, those are the friends that are going to, or the relationships, the connections that you have created since then, are the ones that are going to really help you in receiving gains, manifestations. North Node in the 11th house helps you achieve your dreams. Like, your manifestations are on your hands, like you can achieve them. And after the full moon on the 25th, you're going to see how these things are going to start trickling in, especially as it pertains to maybe relationships, maybe even wanting to get into a soul soul connection type of relationship that can happen for you in the next 6 months. Or maybe you've been wanting, or maybe you had to let go of a relationship that wasn't working. That will also manifest itself, and you will then go more towards your health, your fitness, and go more towards your connections and your friendships to help you heal that breakup. And they will help you. And right now is a good time to create strong bonds with others that are going to continue helping you in the future. So this is a beautiful time for that. Now, that will happen around the eclipse on the 9th. So give or take 2 days before, 2 days after, just lay low. Try not to get into heated arguments. And then one of the biggest things happening for you this month is that Jupiter is going to go direct on the 24th in your 10th house, which is activating also your 4th house of home. It's activating your happiness, is bringing you good luck and expansion in your career. Some of you might move from then until the spring. Jupiter will be there direct, bringing forward movement in your career, because before you were feeling a little bit stagnant, like things are not moving forward as fast as you want them to, maybe in your home life and in your sense of happiness and in your career. But after the 24th, things are going to begin to move and manifest a lot faster for you as it pertains to your career and your relationships even. So I think that this is going to be a really good time for you. up until the springtime when Jupiter switches signs into your 11th house. And even then, because the 11th house is the house of hopes and wishes, but while Jupiter's in the 10th house, it's going to bring you a lot of good luck as it pertains to relationships in general and home life. If some of you wanted to move now, after it goes direct, you might be hearing news about that. You might be moving, some of you, anywhere from the 24th all the way until the springtime. Then Saturn will remain in your 8th house, which can feel a little bit uneasy, but it can also give you the results of the hard work that you've had to endure the past 2.5 years, and all the transformation that you have slowly gone through the past 2.5 years. Saturn will remain there direct until January of 2023. Then it enters your 9th house. And then after the 13th, slowly, one by one. So on the 11th, Venus will enter your 6th house. Then Mars enters. Then Mercury enters on the 13th, also your 6th house. Then Sun enters your 6th house on the 16th. So all of this energy in your 5th house of romance will enter your 6th house of work. This could be a time when, and then Mars will be retrograde right opposite of that in the 12th house. So maybe you're isolating because you're focusing on your health and on your health routine. Maybe you're focusing on becoming stronger, on becoming more disciplined in your everyday life. Maybe you find a new hobby that you integrate into your everyday life. This is also a really good time to work on your fitness, work on your health. Venus there is going to give you the strength to do that. But at the same time, Venus doesn't like to be in the 6th house because it feels a bit restricted and a bit uncomfortable. Like it wants everything to be so perfect that it gets nothing done because it wants so much perfectionism. Also in the sign of Scorpio, it's like intensity within your everyday life you need to watch out for, because you're very logical and you want things to be a certain way, but you might go towards wanting to control everything in your everyday life and then feeling unsatisfied because ultimately you're unable to control everything with that Venus there in your 6th house. But otherwise, it's a good time for your health. It's a good time to find a new job if you were looking for a new job, especially after the 24th, once Jupiter goes direct in your 10th house. So it's not a bad month for you, especially after the eclipses. Things will continue to look up for you. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Cancer. And your rising and moons, you start off this month with Mars retrograde in your 12th house. I did a whole video on the whole entire Mars retrograde transits, and you might want to watch that. I won't get into too many details here, but first, until the 13th, it'll be in your 12th house, where you can be isolating or feeling as if you're your energy is being leaked, or you're not taking it, or you feel like hindered in some way from taking action. Then after that, after the 13th, it'll enter your 11th house of hopes, wishes, manifestations. So this is a good time to spend time with friends, to focus on your sense of self. Give me one moment. Okay, so after the 13th, you'll feel more inclined towards going with your friends, or maybe having more energy towards your manifestations, or having more energy in if you work in an institution, or maybe like finding a job if it deals with institutions, or even just look at the Mars video. But this pertains a lot to like your home life, your happiness, having more energy at home, having more energy within your sense of within your friendships. And then the eclipses that happen on the 25th, the solar eclipse that happened on the 25th, it was happening in your 4th house of home. So it could have been like an uneasy feeling for you at home, within your sense of self, within your happiness, your heart. This energy is going to unfold in the next 6 months. There could be some kind of sense of loss of individuality, or a loss of self as it pertains to your home life, as it pertains to your happiness. Maybe your mother could have like struggled at this time. Maybe you had to be there for your mom, or even like your father. Then now on November 9th, there's going to be a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse in your 10th house of career and outer image. So since the springtime, you've been changing your image, you've been changing maybe even changing your career, maybe even changing your job, or even you had to move homes. You had to end something because you are going towards your career life. You're going towards a new career path or a new way of wanting to be perceived by the outside world. You're wanting to put yourself out there and be seen differently by others. Your reputation is changing. This full moon is going to culminate all these changes that you have rapidly undergone since the springtime during the new moon eclipse in your 10th house. And now everything's going to make more sense. Like, okay, this feeling that I'm having at home, where I'm feeling detached from my home life, where I'm feeling a little bit uneasy, like not restful, or feeling like uneasy whenever I'm dealing with my sense of happiness, and whenever I'm dealing with my home life, is because I've been forced to focus on my career, on how I want to be perceived by the outside world. So all of this is going to make more sense. And then in the next 6 months, you can continue to build upon this realization that you will have in on the full moon eclipse that will happen on the 9th of November. And also this can be pertaining to like a relationship, like where you feel like you're focusing on wanting something different from your career, wanting something different from your relationships, and therefore having to let go of like an aspect of yourself, or even having to let go of some friendships. Then after the 13th, slowly all these planets are going to begin moving into your 5th house. So Mercury will enter your 5th house on the 13th, along with Venus. And then on the 16th, Sun will also join in. So once all these planets are in your 5th house of romance, and then Mars will be opposite of that in the 11th house, giving you a lot of action towards towards wanting to put yourself out there, wanting to be in a relationship, in a romantic love affair kind of thing. 5th house deals more with like loved ones, and it deals more with like romance than it does with like long-term relationships. So possibly it could be a time when you meet someone, or when you want to be in a relationship with someone, or just like this drive. And you can meet them through friends, you can have like, or social media even, or like dating apps. You can have like this drive to go out with friends, or this drive to like put yourself out there and meet someone. Or if you're in a relationship, your relationship can become a lot more romantic, a lot more pleasant, and a lot more indulgent in a way. Also, because it's in the sign of Scorpio, it could be that your partner becomes more controlling, or you want to control an aspect of your relationship that you're unable to, because Mars retrograde will put a stop to that. It's almost as if you're trying to control something that is very intense and cannot be controlled, but you are having to come to the realization that in order to find your happiness, you need to release control, because Scorpio is all about control. It's all about passion and karma. So and then Mars retrograde looking right opposite of that, there could be some kind of clashes as it pertains to that. But overall, it is a really nice energy. Your creativity can also be ignited, so it's a good time to become more creative. If you have children, maybe this is a time when you and your children bond more, become stronger. Your bond becomes stronger. Now, Saturn is going to remain in your 7th house, where it's been the last 2.5 years. Saturn in your 7th house has made you restructure your relationships, restructure boundaries around your relationships, what you need out of your relationships. Then Jupiter will go direct. Has been retrograde in your 9th house. Jupiter will go direct on the 24th, and this is a really good thing, because the 9th house is the house of the guru, of higher education, of the luck factor. So it could be the case that if you're in a higher education, or if you want to become more spiritual, or you're wanting to, or you're exploring your belief systems, or even wanting to travel. This could be a time when you travel and you can even meet someone while traveling, or it could be the time when you get accepted into a higher education institution, or your belief systems become stronger in a way. But Jupiter in the 9th house, it's a beautiful placement because it's in its own sign. So you can receive a lot of good luck from like your gurus or from your father figure. So it's a good time to unlock the luck factor from them by improving your relationship with them, and as a result, receiving luck from them. Now, Neptune will remain in your 8th house of transformations, and Saturn, like I said, will remain direct in your 7th. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Leo. Leo rising and moon. So you will the beginning of the month, you have Mars in the 11th house, but I won't get into too much what Mars retrograde it means for you because I did a separate video on that, so look at that video. Otherwise, Mars will be retrograde until the 13th in your 11th house, and then it goes into your 10th house, which is going to give you bring you the fruits of your hard work the past few months. As it pertains to your career, it can give you also a lot more energy to get done the things that you have put aside for a while in your career, or just a lot more drive within your career to get things done. Then the eclipses that happen on the 25th were happening in your 3rd house. So at this time, you could have felt like you had to let go of an aspect of your courage. Like there was something around your courage that was being tested for you around the eclipses, or something around the courage to communicate, or a courage to express communicate in general, but especially communicate about your relationships, or communicate about your sense of, or finding a way to balance your communication, especially to the outside world. So you could have felt like your willpower was being tested. You could have felt like you didn't have the strength to communicate yourself, or do it in a way where you're able to express your inner motives, or even something around your siblings could have come about where just a lot of Leo risings have let go of a little bit of their sense of communication. Like you're not really wanting to communicate any longer about meaningless stuff, because you've been focusing more on communicating about things that truly matter, things that are deep in your heart, things that the grand scheme of life, things that actually matter. When it comes to little petty stuff, you're no longer wanting to even acknowledge or communicate it, unless it's true, it has true meaning, or unless it has a higher value, then you're able to communicate that. But in a way, it can feel as if your willpower is being constantly tested and you're unable to express it. You feel hindered in some way, or you feel tight, or you feel held back from even expressing any part of your sense of self. Now, on the 9th of November, the full moon eclipse is going to happen in your 9th house, and the eclipse for the last few months, you have been receiving clarity, or you have been becoming more aligned with your belief systems, what is acceptable for you, what your ethical compass allows in your life, what is your drive, and what is your belief systems around the world around you. You have set new beliefs that could have been unorthodox to you previously, and these new belief systems are now, once the eclipse happens on the 9th, it'll all come full circle, because since December really, and then around the springtime, the focus has been culminating so much on either studying new topics, or around learning how the world works. Maybe some of you are in a higher education, maybe others have just been doing a lot of researching and getting to the bottom of what does it all mean. A lot of spiritual research, a lot of getting more into your religious side, or getting more into your more philosophical points of views. And after the 9th, all of that is going to make more sense. And this is because you are, in essence, becoming more aligned with or having to go through some kind of death and rebirth with having to do with everything that you knew up until now, or everything that you believed up until now, in order to, after the eclipse and within the next 6 months, have a new set or have a new worldview or have a new point of view of how you see things around you. So all of that has been shifting. Your worldview shifts every few minutes, and you're becoming more aligned with your destiny as it pertains to how you relate and how you view the world around you. So things that are not of higher value, you will tend to, or even like you're letting go of some friends, or you could be letting go of some of you can even be traveling for spiritual reasons, or even if it's not for spiritual reasons, while you're traveling, you can find the spiritual side of your travels, because it's like almost as if this new world with new ideas and new points of views are opening up to you in order to magnify and increase the world around you. So you use this as you may, but this can also improve your happiness. Your spirituality will be directly impacting your heart, your openness, your happiness, your home life. After the 13th, all of these planets in your 3rd house will go into your 4th house. So on the 13th, Mercury and Venus will enter your 4th house. Then Sun on the 16th enters your 4th house of home, of your happiness, of your inner world, of your most intimate side. And then right opposite of that, you'll have Mars retrograde in your 10th house. So it's almost as if you're feeling, or you're wanting to like rearrange your home life. You're wanting to have a happier home environment where you feel at ease, or where you feel or having a good balance between home and work, especially after all these planets enter your 4th house. Maybe it's a good time for you to rearrange your home life, or even like move home. Some of you might be moving homes, or some of you might even just like find a way to become happier within your home environment. Just be careful with like needing to control things at home, because when being in the sign of Scorpio is all about control, it's all about power, intensity. So you can feel as if you're trying to you can try to control things within your environment that are out of your control, and therefore you feel a little bit stagnant. But because Mars is right opposite of that, it's almost as if you're having to, all of this action that you're giving, all of this action that you're pouring towards your outer image and towards the world around you, can come in conflict with your need to feel in control in your home life and in your own environment. So it's all about, for you, it's going to be all about releasing control and finding the happiness and joy in your everyday, in your home life and within your heart, and therefore allowing yourself to also bring this energy into your outer image and into your career. Because when you're happy, when you're the 4th house being our most intimate self, it is the lowest point in our chart, and the 10th house being the highest point in our chart, the most visible part of us. When you're happy internally, the lowest point, your home life, when that's balanced, when that's pleasant, then you can bring yourself forward to the outside world in a more balanced way and in a happier sense, if that makes any sense. But it's almost as if you're revisiting some things around your home life and some things around your career in order to make it more balanced, or in order to make it more pleasant. Okay, then on the 24th, Jupiter will go direct in your 8th house. So 8th house is all about transformation. Jupiter in your 8th house, it's in its own sign, so that's really good. And it's also ruling your 5th house. So it's a good time for romance. It's a good time to transform the way that you view your relationships. It's a good time to like move forward in your relationships, to maybe some of you might get into a relationship. It's a good time for all of that. But also Jupiter in the 8th house can bring a lot of uneasy feelings, because the 8th house is the house of transformation. So you're having to transform yourself. You're having to undergo in a way you're having to undergo some kind of transformation in order to, or you have been going through a transformation all this time while Jupiter was retrograde in your 8th house. And now when it goes direct, it's like you're going to begin to see the results of this. Just be careful still. I would say the biggest thing for you is spiritual knowledge. Like, always try to find the spiritual outlet of everything that happens in your life, the good, the bad, everything. Just find the spiritual way of viewing things, because you're really going to be blessed by Jupiter when you do this. Instead of becoming instead of giving into the environment, instead of giving into becoming a victim of your circumstances, try to find the spiritual way of viewing everything, because that's when Jupiter in your 8th house will give you the best results. So Jupiter in the 8th house in its own sign, that's really good point, and it brings you a lot of luck. You can receive some kind of sudden gains, some kind of sudden unexpected income, or some kind of sudden gains that comes to you through others, maybe investments, maybe if you were waiting on some kind of insurance, or some kind of, if you were like in litigation or something like that, and you were waiting to get a settlement from that, you can receive some kind of settlement from the 24th of November all the way until the springtime. And after the springtime, Jupiter will move into your 9th house. But until then, you're going through almost like a spiritually awakening time that is not a negative one, that can also activate your sense of your romantic side, your romance, your relationships, and your own inner self. Now, also Saturn will remain in your 6th house. So nothing's changing around that. I've already talked about that in the previous months. Saturn in the 6th house is making you very disciplined in your work life. Saturn direct will make you have to get very responsible and arrange everything in your work life as it begins to move out of your 6th house and into your 7th. And this will happen January of 2023. All right, now we're off to the next sign, which is Virgo. Okay, so Virgo rising and moons, the month of November, you're going to begin this month with Mars retrograde in your 10th house of career. And I did a whole video on Mars retrograde for your sign, so look for that one. But I'll briefly go into, at the beginning of the month until the 13th, Mars will be there in your 10th house, making you have to revisit the hard work you've gone through in the last few months as it pertains to your career and your home life, maybe having to revisit something around some tasks that were undone from your career, or having a lot of energy to finish that off. Then after the 13th, this transit of Mars goes into your 9th house, which can impact your finances, or wanting to rearrange wanting to become more responsible in your finances, or within your higher ideas, or having a better having a drive to express your beliefs, to express your sense of self in a way where you weren't able to before. Now, the eclipse on the 25th happened in your 2nd house. On the 25th, yeah. So at this time, you could have felt as if you were letting go of a part of yourself that made you secure, but it was no longer serving you. And this feeling could have been relating to a relationship, or a way that you communicate in relationships, or your own sense of security, your own sense of even your security around your family, so your security around your finances, your security in the world around you in general. You're letting go of a part of that's going to unfold in the next 6 months, because now with the full moon lunar eclipse on the 9th of November, there's an emphasis or a focus on a transformation. Like you're transforming how you relate to others, how you communicate with others, how you are even like getting more involved in like the darker topics, like using your intuition to navigate like your own sense of stability. You are, especially after the full moon, you're going to have more clarity as to what part of you have been you have been transforming the past since December, and really this took hold, intensified around the springtime. And now you're going to have some clarity during the eclipse around a transformation that you have been undergoing, or around a transformation in general. Just be careful with like accidents, lay low on that day, because 8th house North Node, although it gives you like a strong psychic ability, sense of psychic abilities, and it gives you a strong drive and luck as it pertains to like investments and things like that, it can also give you sudden gains and sudden losses. So be careful with how you handle your money, how you spend your money, how you invest your money, especially. But also be careful with like driving, because it can also make you feel like you want to put yourself in like a little bit of dangerous situations, and this can cause you harm. So you can now want to like attract like intense feelings from others. Like you're wanting to go through, you're asking yourself like, what is the meaning of life? What is death and rebirth? Like what is letting go? What does it all mean? And from that, you're creating a new basis or a new transformation that's helping you find your sense of grounding and find your sense of stability in a more spiritual and esoteric sense, which will unfold in the next 6 months. But with this could come a lot of letting go, especially letting go of your own stability, letting go of your own happiness, or letting go of some kind of relationship. Now, or letting go of your beliefs, what you believed was stable before. Maybe you're letting go of that. Maybe what you believed was stable before is no longer stability for you. You no longer identify with that, nor do you want to identify with that anymore. And this could be pertaining to your own sense of security, your own family life, having to create boundaries around your family, having to create boundaries around your parents or your belief systems in order to go towards this transformation that you are undergoing. And then you, after the 13th, all of these planets in your second house, intensifying this energy within your home, within your family, they're all going to slowly go, transfer into your third house of communication. So this transformation that you're undergoing, where you're letting go of some aspects that are not serving you as it pertains to your relationships and your family life, and your sense of security, now you're going to be able to voice it after the 13th. As Mercury on the 13th, Mercury moves into your third house, then Venus also on the 13th, and then Sun on the 16th. And once all those planets are in your third house, you're going to be able to articulate or communicate to others all that intensity or all those feelings that you were sort of simmering on the past month. But you need to learn how to balance your willpower and your sense of control, because you're going to want to control things, or you might say things that are very calculative, calculative, but which gives you an upper hand as it pertains to the control factor, but it might not serve you at the end. So make sure that you are balancing out that Mars retrograde in your 9th house, your belief systems, because there's something that you will want to express after the 13th around your beliefs, and communicate to others. Just do it from the heart. Don't do it with any expectations of, by communicating this, am I going to control the outcome in some way? Just say what's in your heart without expecting much from others. And that is without or trying to control the outcome so much. But you're going to be balancing out your willpower is going to be very strong after the 13th. Maybe you're going to have more ability to take action towards your dreams, towards your wishes. You're going to have the ability to take action in your everyday life, a lot more drive. Be careful driving, a lot more drive to express yourself, and a lot more drive to just get things done. Like your willpower is strong. It's almost as if you feel like energy is on your side and you're able to communicate and you're able to get things done. Then on the 24th, Jupiter will go direct in your 7th house of relationships. This is really good. It's also looking at your 4th house, which means that happiness after the 24th, you're going to notice an increase in happiness in your relationships with others. If you're single, this is a good time to put yourself out there. If you're in a relationship, now could be a time when some of you might be getting married after the 24th and into the springtime. with Jupiter going direct in your 7th house. If not, it could be a time when you meet a lot of when you make a lot of cool friendships, relationships, meet really cool people. Others are viewing you as someone who's very spiritual, who has a lot of knowledge, or you are attaining a lot of spirituality and knowledge from others. Looking at your 4th house, your happiness at home is also going to improve after Jupiter goes direct on the 24th. So it's a really good time for you, Virgo risings and moons. Your mother, if she was struggling with her health can also improve at this time. Then Saturn will remain direct in your 5th house, where you've had to restructure your relationships, your create boundaries around your creativity or around your relationships in general, having to become very structured. Maybe you've had to let go of some friends the past 2.5 years with that Saturn there. Nothing's going to change around that. So if you want to know more of how this is affecting you, go take a look at the October predictions, where I talk about Saturn going direct in your 5th house. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Libra. Okay, Libra rising and moon. So the beginning of the month, you'll have Mars retrograde in your 9th house, which is helping you go back and re-examine your belief systems in order to later take action towards them. After the 13th, Mars will go retrograde in your 8th house. So it's helping you transform something in your life as it pertains to your own sense of self. So on the 25th, October 25th, you went through an eclipse in your 1st house. There's a solar eclipse in your 1st house. This energy is going to manifest in the next 6 months, but this was all about you, because since the springtime, you have been slowly but surely feeling a loss of self. You have been feeling maybe overwhelmed, or maybe as if you're not your usual self, or feeling detached from your happiness, or detached from your mental health, or the person that you thought that you once were. And this is because you've been focusing a lot more on creating stable partnerships, or on creating relationships with others. Some of you could have gone through like a breakup. Others could have some of you gone through a breakup, and others could have met someone and the relationship is escalating and becoming more and more serious. Some of you are getting married, but it's just like this transit is bringing in like a loss of self. Now, during the October eclipse, this is all going to manifest in the next 6 months, where you're beginning to slowly but surely get yourself back. You lost yourself in order to transform yourself and bring in and work on your partnerships and what you need out of your partnerships. Possibly you decided that you needed something different out of your partnerships, whether that was higher commitment or a new partnership. You were letting go of yourself in order to focus on your partnerships. And now, as in the next 6 months, you're now coming back to yourself and aligning with your sense of self little by little. And this is in a more spiritual way, in a more spiritual sense. So some of you, if you're struggling with your health, it's a good time to focus on your health. Focus on getting your health back in check, especially once Mars goes retrograde in your 8th house. Is a time of really going within and trying to identify what issues you have with your health in order to transform yourself, because a transformation is coming. And it's going to unfold in the next 6 months. So take advantage of it. Mars there in the 8th house. I would say be careful with accidents, but at the same time, it's really helping you see yourself from a new light in order to transform yourself and find yourself again. Now, during the full moon eclipse is happening in your 7th house. This attention is once again culminating, like closing the chapter that began back in the spring, where you gave all of this attention and hard work towards your relationships. Now this is all going to make sense, whether it's because you go into a relationship that has a higher level of commitment, or because you get some clarity around your relationships, or because you ended a relationship and now you're beginning to feel better because of it, beginning to feel some sort of clarity or some sort of closure that's coming into you because of your relationships. Which will also, an energy is going to unfold. I would say during the eclipse, 2 days before, 2 days after, lay low. Don't do too much. Don't take too much rash action. Just lay low. Then this full moon is also changing something, or is closing off a chapter that pertains to your family life or your sense of security within your relationships, within your relationships to other people or within the relationships of your family. Just closing that chapter for you. And after the 13th, all of these planets that are in your first house are going to begin moving into your second house. So on the 13th, Mercury and Venus go into your second house, and then Sun on the 16th enters your second house. And this will be a time when you were going to have a better idea of how you want to find stability within your family structure and within your own self. So it's going to be you transforming your sense of self with that Mars retrograde in your 8th house, and then seeing how you are able to find stability from this transformation. So this stability can come to you in the form of wanting to restructure or wanting to restructure your finances, wanting to restructure how you create boundaries in your family, or wanting to restructure your own sense of or just be careful how you communicate and how much control you try to get from situations, especially situations that pertain to your own sense of self and your relationships. Like you're going to be battling the issue of control and the issue of stability. But because Venus is a planet of love and luxuries and all of that, you can be a little bit more indulgent in yourself, and you can be a little bit more indulgent in yourself and in your partnerships. And maybe you're wanting to buy expensive things, or maybe you're wanting to eat really at nice restaurants, or maybe you're wanting to just focus on on accumulating wealth. There could be also a time when you receive some kind of if you're waiting for a payout or an investment to come in, this could be a time when it happens. Or this could be a time also I would watch the way that you invest your money, because Mars retrograde in your 8th house can be losses, but it can also be sudden gains. And then all these planets in your second house could be that through these losses you gain something, or you restructure your finances in some way, and it turns out to be something positive for you. Okay, now, and Mars retrograde is going to be in your 8th house all the way until January of 2023. So it's a long transit. So just be careful driving, be careful with accidents, be careful with your investments. Okay, now you're going to be also, after the 13th, spending a lot more time with family, or spending a lot more time with whatever happened during the eclipses, and whatever conclusion you came to when it came to your family. Now a lot of your energy is going to be poured into that. Then Jupiter goes direct in your 6th house of health after the 24th. So this is a really good transit for you, because Jupiter direct is going to expand your health, and maybe you travel, or maybe your everyday life becomes more pleasant in some way. You get luck in your everyday life, or in your work life, you get some kind of promotion or something like that, with Jupiter going direct in your 6th house. Also looking at your 3rd house, your communication is a lot more pleasant to those at work. You're able to communicate better, and your willpower is also stronger in your everyday life. With that Jupiter in the 6th house. And yeah, that's all for Libra risings and moons, and we're off to the next sign, which is Scorpio. So Scorpio rising and moons. So for you guys, you're gonna have Mars retrograde until the 13th in your 8th house. So at this time, you're sort of undergoing, or you have been undergoing, some kind of transformation to your sense of self, and also some things that you're revisiting within your own psyche almost. Or I have a whole video on Mars retrograde. You can go watch that. I won't get into it too much in this video, but yeah, this Mars retrograde is going to go all the way until January of 2023. So I highly suggest that you watch that. Then after the 13th, this Mars retrograde is going to enter your 7th house of relationships and partnerships, where you're going to maybe revisit something around your relationships. This could be a time when you make renewals in your relationship, like a new way of viewing your relationships, new chapters, or just like Even if you're single, this could be a time when someone from your past comes into your life, or it could be a time when someone who feels like someone you knew in the past, if you're single and you wanted to meet someone, this could be a time when if you do meet someone, they're going to feel like you knew them from the past, in a way. It's also a time when you're revisiting how you view your relationships. But yeah, just take a look at that video, and you're going to have a lot more clarity and better idea of how this is impacting you. Then the eclipses happen, the new moon, the solar eclipse happened in your 12th house, really illuminating a part of your psyche that you thought you had buried, or a part of you that you thought you had already overcome, resurfacing fears from your past, or resurfacing fears around relationships that you felt you had already dealt with in a way. Now, this energy is going to unfold in the next 6 months, but this is really helping you go within yourself and isolate yourself in order to really discover the parts of you that need to be healed, and the parts of you that need to that you need to let go of in order to go towards a healthier lifestyle in your everyday life. So South Node with the eclipse, with all these planets in your 12th house, some expenses could have also gone up for you, or there could have been some kind of unexpected expenses that occurred in your life. This could also have been a time when through meditation or through isolation, you could find yourself, or you can find a more spiritual way of viewing the world around you, and of viewing especially your partnerships and your relationships. Then during the full moon, the full moon eclipse is going to happen in your 6th house. So all the things that you have been working on since, like, you've been working on your health, on your work, on your everyday life, on the stability of your own the stability of your sense of self and your confidence. You've been working on that since December, really, but really intensifying around the springtime. Now during the full moon, there's going to be almost like a completion or a closure of that. If you were struggling with your health, this could be a time when your health now, when everything starts to make sense, or you find some kind of solution, or you become stronger in your sense of health and in your sense of self and in your confidence in general. Then or this could also be a time when you get a promotion at work, or something around your work life shifts in a way. This could also be a time when you might find that there's people that you thought were on your side that are not on your side, like enemies, or like opposition at work. That could also likely happen with the full moon in your 6th house. Then but it's almost like a feeling of completion, like, okay, so now I know exactly what I need to do, or now I know exactly what is going to be the best course to take for myself and for my own peace of mind. That makes sense. And it's something that that could be strange to you, or you might be taking an unorthodox way of viewing the world around you in your everyday basis. And this will happen during the November 9th, in or around the full moon eclipse that's happening in your 6th house. So it's a good time to to work on your health, to work on your sense of self, and to let go of parts of yourself that are no longer serving you. Then and this will build on in the next 6 months, but really it's almost like a closure that you're going to feel in your everyday life. Then after the 13th, you almost like the halfway mid-month and onward, you become like the main character of the month, as Sun enters Mercury first enters your Mercury and Venus will enter your 1st house on the 13th, and then on the 16th, Sun will join in. So this is really amazing, because you're going to have Mercury in your 1st house and Venus in your 1st house. So you are not only going to come across as more pleasant, beautiful, and charming to others, but you're also going to almost like feel a sense of feel more confident within your sense of self, feel more pleasant within yourself. Just because Scorpio is such an intense and karmic sign, I would say just be careful with your need to sort of control your life or control situations in your life that are outside of your control. Because with Mars being in your 7th house, it's almost as if all of this attention that you have for yourself and for your own sense of self, there could also be a sense of opposition from the world outside of you, from the world around you, or from your partnerships. Or it could be the case where you feel like you have all of this energy in your partnerships and you have all of this, like, luck is on your side. You're able to express your inner self and you're able to take action towards yourself and towards your partnerships. It's a beautiful time for you, especially after the 13th and onward. Just the only thing I would say caution with is like ego, your sense of ego once after the 16th, once Sun enters your 1st house, because Sun there in your 1st house will also combust Mercury and Venus, meaning that it will be sitting very close to Sun. So your Sun is the center of the galaxy, so it like burns any planet sitting with it. So your ego can get in the way at times of your relationships and of your happiness, especially because Mars is in the sign of your 1st house, and then Venus is going to be in the sign of your 7th house. So it's like an opposition there where things are being reversed. But it is a beautiful energy, and it is a great time if you're single or if you're in a relationship to take like the next steps in your relationship. And if you're single, it's a beautiful time to put yourself out there. Then Saturn is going to remain direct in your 3rd house. I've already talked about that in last month's video when Saturn went direct. But basically Saturn in your 3rd house is teaching you lessons around your own mental abilities, your own communication styles, your own types of or having you sort of restructure the way that you think or the way that you communicate with the world around you, the way that you communicate your belief systems and all of that. And it's going to remain there. Then on the 24th, Jupiter is going to go direct in your 5th house of romance, looking at your 2nd house of income. So this is a beautiful time for you to become more stable within your relationship. So after the 24th, it can be the case, Jupiter being in its own sign of Pisces, going direct. Things are going to start to move forward a lot faster as it pertains to your relationships. Maybe you meet somebody with Mars being in your 7th house and it turns into a beautiful type of love affair or relationship for you. This is a beautiful time. Also, like, if for those of you who are not trying to conceive, I would say that this is also a time that you might want to be careful, because Jupiter wants to expand wherever it's touching. It's in your 5th house of children. So it might be a time when things can happen. Yeah, but this is Jupiter in the 5th house is also going to make you a lot more creative, a lot more pleasant, a lot more romantically inclined. It can bring you, it's expanding your 5th house. It can bring you a relationship, a very beautiful relationship in a way. So, and that's it. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Sagittarius. Sagittarius risings and moons. So the beginning of the month on the since the 1st, you've had Mars retrograde in your 7th house of partnerships. And I've already created a whole video on this Mars retrograde transit, which will go for all the way until January of next year. So I highly suggest you watch that. But just to briefly go over it, Mars in your 7th house is either bringing back some sort of past discussion in your relationships, or if you're single, it can even bring you back ex relationships to either put an end to them or to revive them, or just like ending some kind of chapter from the past in your current relationship. There can also be a lot of passion going on, some communication misunderstandings, or even just more communication. And on the more positive side, there could be a communication that's had to happen at this time. And then after the 11th, Mars retrograde will go back into your 6th house, where you will revisit something around your health, your work that you sort of were working on the past few months and possibly put aside, but you're just going to have a lot of energy overall. But just be careful with like past enemies. They can come lurking back. But other than that, you've had the eclipses happening in your 5th and 11th axis. So North Node in your 5th, the past eclipse that happened on the 25th of October was activating your 11th house. This was a time where you could have felt like you really needed to restructure and let go of either even like a job or like old friendships that were no longer serving you, or maybe you're going through a breakup, or you could have also met someone and really became more serious with them. Now, on the 7th of November, there would be another eclipse, and this is going to be a full moon. So the one that happened on the 25th of October, this is sort of going to be an energy that's going to develop in the next 6 months, and you can already be feeling it. It could deal with letting go of friendships, or just creating a new community for yourself, a new social network, or friends from the past can come into your life, relationships from the past, or letting go of a relationship that wasn't serving you. Whatever it was for you, this is going to unfold in the next 6 months. Now, since the springtime, you have been working on your more romantic side, or on your love relationships, and possibly wanting something different out of them. So you've been working on turning a new leaf, or possibly meeting new people, or meeting people who you wouldn't have dated in the past, or people who are very different from you in general. If you're single, if you're in a relationship, possibly if the relationship wasn't working, once again, maybe you went through a breakup. If the relationship is working, maybe you're getting more serious, or some of you can even be getting pregnant or having children at this time. Or some of you maybe started a brand new business that relates to something that you were not doing before, or just started creating something that was from your heart, that dealt with your own sense of creativity. Even could have been school, could have been, even for some of you, speculative income, speculative gains, or things like that. Now, on the full moon, on the 9th of November, there will be a closure of that chapter, or almost like a culmination of that energy, where now everything's pieced together and everything now makes sense. Because in the next 6 months, the work is going to be more on settling down on your connections, and settling down on your network, and on your manifestations, because you have all these planets in your 11th house of gains, of manifestations. So possibly you've been thinking about manifesting something for a long time that dealt with either a romantic partner, or your creativity, and this can now manifest in the next 6 months. The full moon will bring like a sense of understanding, and a sense of closure of the last 6 months of clarity that you've had. Now, after the 11th, slowly but surely, all the planets that you have in your 11th house are going to trickle into your 12th. Which means that you're going to become a lot more introspective and a lot more isolated, because you're working on these themes of either relationship themes, or creating this new venture that you've embarked on. Now, first on the 11th, as you can see here, Venus will enter your 12th, then Sun will enter your 12th. Then Mercury will enter your 12th on the 13th, and then lastly on the 16th, Sun will enter your 12th. And at this time, expenses can go up for some of you. There can be a higher expenses, or just like feeling a little bit more as if you want to be on your own, or you want to isolate yourself, or there's like a lot of mental health even struggles that you can endure. Doesn't mean that you're going to have mental health issues. It just means that this is a time when things from the past can resurface in terms of like your mental state. This time, around this time, this is something that you feel every year, because this is the time that all these planets go into your 12th house. So this is something that should be normal to you, but the only difference is that this Mars retrograde will be in your 6th house of health and wellness. So it's almost as if you're struggling between your mental health, your need to isolate, and then your work life, and then having to revisit things or situations from the past, or having to revisit your health and dealing with issues with your health or mental health that you thought you had overcome already, and now they're resurfacing this time for you to heal them and put it to rest, if that makes sense. Now Saturn is going to remain in Capricorn in your 2nd house. You're still working on your finances. I suggest watching the October video where I talked in depth about Saturn being direct in your 2nd house, but it's just, you are still navigating your finances, you're working on your finances, on your sense of stability. You can begin receiving some of the good luck, or slowly receiving some of the financial stability that you have been working on for the past 2.5 years. Jupiter is going to go direct in your 4th house on the 24th. So moving forward after the 24th, it could be the case that you move homes. So there could be luck in this area of your life, because you've been feeling stagnant, where you felt like you needed to move, and possibly the move could have happened, or you wanted it to happen, but you haven't found anything, or things are not moving as fast as you want them to. After the 24th, things will begin to move a lot quicker, and you'll get luck in this area, because Jupiter's expanding your happiness, and also expanding your sense of self. So even if you feel a little bit under the weather, you're still gonna feel as if there's hope, there's optimism, as long as you find like the spiritual outlet of it all. So even though so it could be the case that you move homes, or something around your career life really expands from the 24th all the way until the springtime. You have all this time where Jupiter is going to be blessing your home life, and is also making an aspect to your 1st house of self. So it's your 1st house is ruled by Jupiter, so Jupiter's in your 4th, so there's a lot of luck surrounding you in the midst of it all. All right, now we're off to the next sign, which is Aquarius. Aquarius rising and moons. You currently have Mars retrograde in your 5th house of romance, of loved ones, relationships, fun, and all that good stuff. So Mars being retrograde since November 1st in this area, it'll be there in your 5th house until the 13th. So it's not going to be there for long, but while it's in your 5th house, you're revisiting something around your relationships. It could also be your friendships, but mostly your relationships, maybe revisiting an old chapter or an old fling, or maybe even wanting to go back to your old self that used to put themselves out there, who used to have fun, who used to go on dates. If you're single, if you're in a relationship, then this could be a time when you are revisiting some kind of communication with your loved ones, or some kind of communication within your relationship that needed to, or ending a chapter in your relationship that needed to end from the past. Now, after the 13th, Mars will enter your 4th house of home, and this can be a time, if some of you were trying to move homes, or if some of you were trying to build a home, or anything relating to that, this could be a time when you end up moving. So Mars will be there in your 4th house all the way until January of 2023. So this could be a time when you move, or this could be a time when you are, just be careful with like bickering, because you can be bickering at home or with your mother regarding issues from the past, or with your family in general, or you can be there's something around your home life that you have the energy now to accomplish. This can also be relating to your career. Maybe there's something around your career that now you'll be able to accomplish after the 13th. Also, because the eclipses have been happening in your 3rd and 9th house. So you've had the past eclipse that happened on the 25th of October was in your 9th house of hopes, wishes, your teachers, even work for some. And in this area, the eclipses were asking you to let go of some kind of belief system or view of the world around you that was no longer serving you, so that you can now utilize this new point of view in your life that you let go of, that could have been from the past, and it could have related to relationships that you let go of, so that now you can have a stronger willpower and move forward with your community, move forward with your communication, your community. So something around your beliefs could have changed. Like you were asked to let go of it. How you view the world, how you relate to the world, even like maybe your parents might have needed something from you, or maybe even something around your home life needed to take place at this time that you needed to let go of. A belief around your mother or a belief around your home life that you needed to let go of. Now you're going to and this energy is going to unfold in the next 6 months. Now on November 9th, there's going to be an eclipse, a full moon eclipse in your 3rd house. So this is going to put a culmination to the last 6 months where you've really been focusing on your willpower, maybe even started a new business for some of you, or had a more business type of mentality where you didn't think you had before. You could have started a new business, like I was saying, or even you could have gone on short trips, just a lot of short trips. Now, all of this added up to you sort of changing or letting go of the way that you viewed the world around you, or the way that you related to others and the world around you. Now, or even like something to do with your communication around your belief systems. Maybe for some of you you could have let go of an old belief. Not belief system, and belief system also, but mostly like an old spiritual belief specifically that was no longer serving you, and now you're sort of communicating about this new view or this new outlook that this new perspective that you have gained. So during the full moon, everything will make sense from the past 6 months, and you'll begin to communicate this either with your intimate circle. It's important for you to communicate your feelings, or communicate communicate this point of view that you've let go of, because the North Node is really wanting you to close that chapter. And in order to close that chapter, you must communicate it. And this could be related to your career, to your work, or this could be also related to your a new business venture that you've embarked in. So after the November 9th, this chapter will be closed, because the energy is now being focused on you developing a brand new point of view and working towards this dream that you've always had, that now it seems possible for you. So that's the eclipses. Just 2 days before, 2 days after, just try to lay low, try not to act on any impulse or anything like that. Okay, now after the 11th, Venus will enter your 10th house, and then slowly Mercury will join in on the 13th, and then lastly Sun will also enter your 10th house. This is a really good time for career. So if a lot of you maybe you started a new business, or maybe you started a new job, and now you're sort of having a lot of energy to put into this job, or you're really giving it your all, you're putting in a lot of effort, especially after the eclipse is closing off that old chapter. It's now your career, things are opening up. Just be careful with your home life and learning to balance the two, because even though in your career you're going to be illuminated, people are going to come to you, you might get some kind of promotion, you might be seen as a person of authority within your field of work. At the same time, there could be some kind of ego clashes if you try to control too much. This is in the sign of Scorpio after all, which is very much into intense wanting to control everything in their environment, everything in their work life and in their environment. Mars being retrograde right opposite of your 10th house, there could be something around your home life, because you're working so much, you could be neglecting, and therefore things from the past could be resurfacing around your home life, or you might need to make that move that you had been putting off for a while in order to go towards your or your career might ask you to move at this time. it could be that drastic, or it could be something as small as your home needing your attention and you so focus on work that you're unable to. And so you're having to learn how to give energy to both areas of life, balancing out the two areas. Okay, now Saturn is going to remain direct in your 12th house. So maybe you're staying up late for some of you. You're going through your Sadasati for the Aquarius moons, not rising, but all of you can be staying up late thinking about issues regarding like your sense of self and your entire life. But I've already talked about Saturn going direct in your sign, so I suggest looking at the October forecast where I talk about Saturn going direct. Saturn is going to remain in your 12th house all the way until January of 2023. So you're still going to be working through those inner fears that are holding you back, but at the same time receiving through your calculative action, you're still going to receive some kind of positive results from your work life. Then Jupiter is going to go direct, and this is really good, in your second house of family, of stability, expanding your sense of stability, expanding your income, really moving forward, moving fast, moving forward, because up for a few months Jupiter has been retrograde. So even though it's in its own sign, it still has been retrograde, which means that you have been feeling like you need things to move faster in your stability, in your home life, and not in your home life, within your family, within your stability, within your income. Now that's going to happen. Jupiter direct in its own sign brings a lot of expansion and a lot of good luck. So this could be a good time when you receive unexpected income, or you just receive a lot of, or your income just increases in and of itself. One good thing about Saturn being in your 12th house is that it's not letting your expenses increase. It's keeping them at a moderate level. So that's one good thing there. Okay, now we're off to the last sign, which is Pisces. Risings and moons. This is a really good month for you. So just to start off, you have Mars retrograde in your 4th house of home. I've already done a video on Mars retrograde, so I suggest you look at that one. I go a lot more in depth into this transit, but just to give you a gist of it, Mars has been retrograde in your 4th house since the 1st, and it'll enter your 3rd house on the 13th. Now, Mars in your 4th house retrograde means that there's something around your home life that you're having to revisit. Something around your home life, your happiness. Maybe some of you needed to move. This could be a time when you're moving. This could be also impacting your career. Career and home life are a point of contingency right now, where you're kind of trying to balance the two, but you're revisiting something that needed to have been revisited in the past. And it won't be there for long, so it's a short period, but it's kind of intense because you're feeling a sense of needing to take action, or able to take action or unable to take action. Like it's two extremes, two polarities that are happening right in your 4th house. Could be the time when you can be bickering a little bit at home, or there's just so much communication happening that can turn a little bit passionate or a little bit toxic. If not, it could be the case that you're sort of like revisiting plans that maybe regarding a move or regarding conversation, either with your mom or with within your home life, that you've had to have in order to feel your happiness. Because Gemini deals with communication, Mars needing to take that action, and then 4th house is your happiness, it's your heart. So after the 13th, Mars will enter your 3rd house. So once again, Mars retrograde in your 3rd house, it can deal with communication with family, or just communication in general that you're having to revisit. And this communication can be regarding a higher point of view, or a belief that you have, a belief system, or a point of view that you really need to express in some way. But yeah, watch the video on Mars retrograde to have a better idea on what this will be about. Then the eclipses are happening in your 2nd and 8th house. So on the 25th of October, there was a solar eclipse in your 8th house. This energy is going to unfold in the next 6 months, but this really dealt with letting go of an aspect of like your reliance on resources, or your reliance on or even just like secrets or things that are hidden that you had to sort of let go of. Sun and the South Node together in your 8th house could have brought up a lot of past fears, or just like a lot of traumas from the past that you had to let go of, or that you had to sort of express and communicate. For some of you, this could have been therapy. For others, just like communicating your fears, communicating a transformation regarding your sense of inner stability and outer stability. Now, on the full moon, which will be on November 9th, there'll be a full moon in your 2nd house, which will sort of close off and culminate the chapter that has been unfolding for the last 6 months and even into like December. And this could be relating to your sense of stability, your finances, your family, your wishes, your belief systems around all these areas. So since the springtime, you have been transforming your sense of stability in every area of life. You've just been transforming how you find stability within yourself, with the world around you, how you express this stability. Something around your family you could have been also shifting and transforming. Now, after the full moon eclipse, you're sort of like setting that aside and realizing, okay, so now I'm able to feel much more stable within myself. Now it's time for me to focus on this inner and outer transformation. I would just say that be careful with like food poisoning, be careful with like, especially around the eclipse, this time right now is like a little bit sensitive for the Pisces rising and moons when it comes to like what they intake through their mouth. So this could be related to intoxicants. It could be related to food poisoning. So just be careful what you eat, what you put in your mouth. And after the eclipse, things will begin to settle again, especially after the 11th, once Venus enters your 9th house of wishes, of luck, of your point of view, or beliefs around the beliefs that you have within yourself and in the world around you. So Venus will enter your 9th house on the 11th, then Mercury will join in on the 13th, and then Sun on the 16th. This could be a time when you decide that you want to travel, or that you want to focus on your higher or on your higher education. For some of you, maybe learning something new at this time, or maybe just like wanting to experience different perspectives, or even just like open to different perspectives. This could be a time when you feel like communicating your point of view, communicating or expressing your innermost self, your moral compass, or like your ethical views. But just be careful with Mars in your 3rd house looking right opposite. It can come across as if or you can try to control the outcome, or you can try to control or focus on a communication pattern that deals with trying to control the outcomes, because this is going to be in the sign of Scorpio, the ruler, and Venus is going to be in there. The ruler of Venus is Taurus, and Mars is in Taurus in your 3rd house. So there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of things that are being rehashed, but at the same time, as long as you let go of the control component and you just express your belief systems, or even something with your parents could be the case also. Maybe you spend more, or you go travel, or you go spend time with parents, or you just have a more spiritual view of life in general, then things will be just fine. If anything, it's a really lucky time with all these planets in your 9th house. Then Saturn will remain in your 11th house. So slowly but surely, your hopes and wishes, or your manifestations, as well as your social network, is strengthening and is helping you with everything in life. So slowly but surely, just watch the video, the forecast on October, when I went into detail about Saturn being direct in your 11th house. Then you're going to have Jupiter going direct in your first house. This is amazing. So this will be on the 24th. Jupiter will also look at your 7th house and your 5th house. So, and your 10th house as well. So Jupiter in your first house, up until now, you have been feeling like you want things to move forward, and you want to, and luck has been coming to you either with any one way or another. Things have not been so bad for you, but it has not been the greatest. After Jupiter goes direct, things will begin to move a lot faster for you. You'll find luck within your relationships. You'll find luck within your career. You'll find luck within your romantic partnerships, and just things will flow a lot easier, a lot quicker, and you're sort of like expanding, like manifesting things a lot faster. And Jupiter will be there in your first house all the way until springtime, when it enters it leaves this area and it enters your second house. But all the way until then, this is a beautiful Jupiter doesn't come into its own sign of Pisces for another 12 years. This is a very beautiful time that brings in a lot of luck, a lot of manifestations, and a lot of good into your life. So if you're single, this could be a time when you get into a relationship. Some of you can even be getting married. Others can change career paths or have some kind of increase in their career. Also have some kind of increase within their relationships, and luck factor and love and romance. All of that is on your side. Okay, now we are officially done with all the signs. I hope you guys enjoy this forecast. November seems to be a pretty good month. There's a lot happening, especially with Mars being retrograde, switching over to the Taurus sign. I would say just everyone should probably watch like their investments or like their money, things like that, the market. But other than that, a lot of planets are direct officially. So Jupiter is going direct, the eclipses are ending, Saturn is direct, Pluto is direct. So a lot of direct motion, forward moving motion. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye. Okay, so for Capricorn rising and moons, you will continue to have the transit. So on the 1st of November, Mars went retrograde in your 6th house. So Mars will remain retrograde in your 6th house until the 13th of November. And then it enters back into your 5th house. So once Mars enters, and I made a video on Mars retrograde, so I highly suggest you watch that because that goes way more in depth. I'm not going to focus too much on it here. But once Mars enters your 5th house, it's going to have you have to revisit things around from the last few months around your relationships, your love life, your loved ones even, and just your romantic side. Maybe if you're single, someone from your past can come into your life for you to revisit the situation. If you are in a relationship, maybe you are ending a chapter in your relationship that needed to end in the past. But this is good. This Mars retrograde Mars will remain in your 5th house all the way until January of 2023. So this is a great time if you're single. Otherwise, just be careful with like arguments within your relationship. Then the eclipse on the 25th happened in your 4th house of home. And this was sort of closing a chapter that began about 6 months ago when the eclipses happened. When the first set of the eclipses happened back in the springtime. And so that was in your 4th house. Then the eclipse on the 25th that happened, it was a solar eclipse in your 10th house of career. So something around your home life and career life were in tension with each other. There could have been some tension there. Maybe you were spending too much time at work and your home life, and you needed to be home, or maybe there was like this uneasy feeling at home. For some of you, there could be some kind of career change, or for some of you, this meant that you began working from home in the last 6 months, or it could have meant that there was some kind of ending of a job or a career that happened that was not serving you. Now, the energy of this career enlightenment that you will unfold in the next 6 months for you. But there was a lot of tension around the eclipses there in your 10th house, even in your reputation. Maybe something happened where the way that you were perceived, by the way that others, the initial image that others had of you sort of changed. Maybe some people were thought you were a certain way at work, and then after the eclipses, now you're showing a new side of you, or wanting to be taken more seriously, or wanting to be seen differently. Now, this energy is going to unfold in the next 6 months, and possibly you can even find a new job or just start a new career and let go of something, or let go of a path that's no longer serving you. Also, on November 9th, there will be a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse in your 4th house of home life. So this will bring about a culmination of the last 6 months of, there could have been tensions at home, there could have been, and even within your relationship, because the ruler is going to be in your 5th, it's going to be in your 6th house, really entering your 5th. But there could be some tensions at home, but after the eclipse on the 9th, you're going to have a lot more clarity as to what you need to do in order to feel a sense of happiness within your home life, within your career. Like, this axis is activating for you, so there's like a lot of tension there. So after the 9th, and within the next 6 months, like I was saying, you're going to have more clarity around this. Just lay low on the 9th. Maybe your mother might need more of you, or maybe there's something around your happiness or your mother and your home life that's bringing about tensions where you need to change. There's something about your home life that you need to change. If some of you moved, maybe it's like getting used to this new place, or maybe even moving somewhere else if you haven't moved, or even if you moved and you might need to move again. So, or even like having to do with cars, maybe some of you might even think about getting a new car. Just don't do it around the eclipse. Wait a little bit. Okay, then Saturn is going to remain in your 1st house. It has been there for the past 2.5 years. It's almost out of there, but you might want to watch the October forecast, where I give you an in-depth description on Saturn direct. So Saturn already went direct in your 1st house. So it's going to continue going. It's going to continue there. So at this point, Saturn is almost out of that area. For the past 2.5 years, you've had to work very hard within your entire life and within your sense of self. Now, after the after January of 2023, Saturn will have completely left this area. But right now, you're almost like receiving some kind of good karmas from the past 2 years of hard work and dedication and discipline that you've had to undergone in your entire life, really, because Saturn was looking at every area of your life. Now, on the 24th of January, Jupiter is going to go direct in your 3rd house, and it's also going to be looking at your 12th house, and it's also going to be looking at your 7th house. So this is really good, because Jupiter there is going to bring you a sense of expansion and forward moving energy in the area of your maybe communication. Also, your willpower is going to increase. Your relationships can improve. Communication within your relationships can improve. And some of you might even want to travel. This is a good time when some of you could be traveling. Or if you are in higher education, this is also a good time. Your relationship with your siblings and your father can also improve. You can maybe even have the willpower to, if you wanted to start a business, but things were slow, some of you now are going to be able to move forward a lot quicker in terms of this. Or if you were waiting to be accepted into a higher education, or even traveling abroad, this could be a time when you hear good news. So Jupiter goes direct from the 24th, and it'll be there until the springtime. So it's a really good time for really everyone, but especially for you, because Jupiter is looking at your 7th and your 12th house. So expenses are going to be moderated. Just maybe you travel somewhere abroad, long distance, or maybe you think of a new business venture, or your spouse is also going to get some kind of good news at this time. Okay, now okay. And also, So during the eclipses, you had a lot of energy happening in your 10th house. Now, after the 11th, all of these planets that you have in your 10th house are going to slowly move into your 11th. So with Venus first going into your 11th house on the 11th, then Mercury on the 13th, and then Sun on the 16th. So once all these planets are out of your 10th house, a lot of the tension that you have been feeling in your career it's gonna come down a little bit. And all of this energy is gonna go into your house of hopes and wishes, of manifestations, of gains, of friendship. So after the 11th, really, you're gonna be thinking about ways in which to make yourself happier and to spend more time with friends, possibly happier within your relationships with Mars in your 5th house, happiness within your gains. You might be receiving some kind of good news or some kind of manifestation that you have been waiting for since June time can come into your life mid to end of November and into beginning of December. 11th house, having all these planets in your 11th house is really good. This is one of the best placements because this is the house of gains, the house of hopes and wishes, of your manifestations. So this is a really good time for you. And if you work like in media, or if you work with technology, or if you just or if you work in some kind of institution, this could be a time when you even get some kind of increase. Or if you're single and you wanted to like put yourself out there with Mars retrograde also in your 5th house, giving you a lot of strength to take action. Maybe you meet someone like through the internet, social media, technology. So yeah, this is a good time to manifest for you after the 11th. Alrighty, now we're done with the month of November.